Try to introduce this the same way we always have. Let's say here that you do regression line and find that y equals 1.3991x plus 151.35. And I ask, is the slope statistically significant? Okay. So, what would you say? I don't know yet, I gotta do something. What is the something you need to do to answer that question?
Go to stats class.
Go to stats class. How do you think you would answer that question? What would you need to do in order to answer that question?
Something from chapter 4.
Something from chapter 14.
No, chapter 4 wasn't
We'll get there. Okay. What have we been talking about? Hypothesis test. We got to do some sort of a hypothesis test, right? Okay, so we got to do a hypothesis test in order to answer this question. So, what's the first question you should ask yourself?
What's your knowledge?
No, before that.
What kind of test is it?
Is it quantitative, categorical, or regression?
I'll take a guess at regression.
Finally, we get to answer regression. About time, right? Okay. All right. So, question 2 is,
What type of test?
this is chapter 14.1. Okay. Question 2 is,
What test? No. What test?
what'd you say?
What test?
No, we're going to swap the order. We're going to do the
No.
known the alternative hypothesis. Known the alternative, okay? So what's the HO, what's the H1? Okay?
Is and isn't.
What'd you say?
That it is and isn't.
That it is or is not? Remember, what does null mean? There's no change, right? So what does no change mean in this context?
The regression line has not changed.
The regression, the slope is not significant, right?
Oh.
Now, conceptually that's true, but you only get to do that for chapter 12 and 13, right? We got to go back to math symbols. What's the math symbol that says the slope is not significant? N equals 0 versus
And does not equal.
n does not equal 0, right? Okay, this one's always going to be a two-sided test. Okay, now in the book, they write the equation y equals beta naught plus beta 1x, rather than y equals mx plus b, which is what I prefer. So in the book, they say that beta 1 equals 0, and beta 1 does not equal 0. So either's fine. I kind of prefer the first, but the book uses the second, so just don't get them confused. Okay? So step 3 is what? What'd you say? Take a test, right? And my 4 options are T, Z, F, and chi-squared, right? Okay, so based on what you know, what test do you think we should use and why? Is that an F?
I think it's
Okay, it's not F.
It's not chi-squared.
T, why did you say T? Just a good guess. You got to come up with a reason why you picked the test. Why would you pick a t? Let's talk about what would be a good reason to pick a t?
Didn't have a population standard deviation.
Doesn't have a population standard deviation, so that was a very good guess.
Oh, I see, it's right on
Okay.
the chart, that's why.
Do you know what the population standard deviation is for the slope? Will you ever?
No.
No, will never. Okay? This one's going to be a t, okay? So the t distribution, the t formula that you should use is, well, I'm going to give you what I would prefer. M1 minus M1 over S sub M1, okay? Or the book uses, because the book uses betas, they use B1 minus beta 1 all over S sub beta 1, okay? All right, now the question is, we have to figure out what is the standard deviation of your slope. In order to find the standard deviation of your slope, you need to find S sub beta 1, which is S sub E over the square root of X. Sorry, I think that's wrong. This is the sum. I need to fix my notes here. Sum of xi minus x bar squared. Okay? Now, in order to find S sub E is the square root of the residuals squared divided by n minus 2. Now, you remember residuals squared from chapter 4.
Heard that word in the
Remember I said that one day you guys were not going to like the day that this was going to come back to haunt you. Today's Halloween. Okay? So just as a reminder, what's going on here is we've got some points here. We've got a regression line, right? So this regression line that I just found is that equation right there. Okay? Now, let's talk about residuals. Okay? So, let's let's go to here, assignments, in-class worksheets, and we're going to go to 14.1 worked out. Okay? All right, we're going to go back to, so you know what? Now, by the way, we should talk a little bit about the test schedule. So we're going to have a test Wednesday or Thursday in the testing center. It's going to be a written test only.
This week?
This week. Next week, Tuesday through Thursday, you can take the computer. So the written test is only going to be this last unit that we've studied for the last couple of weeks. Okay? Next week is going to be a comprehensive computer final where we're going to do everything. And then the following week on Wednesday at 2-hour final exam, 9 o'clock in this room, we will do the written final on everything. Okay, so there's your testing schedule. Okay, so today we're going to have to go back to chapter 4 anyway so that we can remember how to do residuals. So today's kind of a review day as well as new stuff. Okay, yes?
Have you written the test for this?
I have not. I'm hoping to write it later today. We'll see if I get it done. Okay?
So that's written.
Written will be Wednesday or Thursday of this week.
Okay.
Okay?
And that's the
So
stuff.
today's lecture is probably going to be a little bit long. Tomorrow's will be a little shorter, and I don't know if I covered it. In my other class, I ran out. We're going to do confidence intervals too. But we ran out of time, so we'll probably save that for tomorrow.
That's the stuff we study, those scenarios you posted for.
And you
the
studied
test.
those scenarios; those will be on the test too.
Okay.
On the first, the one this week. Okay. All right. So you know what, let's pretend that this graph's not here, I'm gonna erase it. Okay? Now, who remembers how to create a scatter plot? Or rather, who doesn't remember? Okay, more hands went up than last time. So I'm gonna pick on Chris. Do you remember how to create a scatter plot?
Mm-hmm. So you highlight all the data,
Highlight your data,
and then you go to insert.
insert, scatter.
Yep.
Okay, should be properly labeled. How do we label it?
Hit the plus or
Plus here,
add access to
access titles, what's down here? Page, what's over here?
That's one.
Oh, list are all. Okay. All right, now, do you remember how to find the correlation coefficient? Quickly and easily, on the hard way, but
Add trend line.
Right.
we'll do it the easy way today. How do you find it?
Add trend line.
Nope, you're mixing up the regression line with the correlation. The other class did the same thing.
Right click on
Mm. That's the regression line. Correlation, whoops. Parenthesis, grab your X, comma, grab your Y, close your parenthesis, and you get that. See, it was already there. Okay? Now, how do you find your regression equation?
Can you go?
Now you're gonna right-click one of these dots, add trend line, and then you're gonna display the equation on the chart. And then you can move it up here so you can see it. Okay? All right, and that happens to be the same equation I wrote on the board. Okay? All right, so now, how do you do residuals? Let me move this down. Oh, but, well, before we do that, how do you find the R squared, besides the fact that it's already on the chart?
Your actual minus your prediction.
No, the R squared.
all that.
Take the correlation coefficient and the second power. Okay?
Oh, that's easy, okay.
Okay? Yeah, R squared, not residual squared. Okay, now how do you find your residuals?
Actual minus prediction.
So actual minus predicted, but before we have to figure out what's our predicted, right?
Yeah.
Okay, how do we find what's predicted?
Your what? Isn't it just your one?
It's your 1.3991 times your X, which in this case is 25. And then we're gonna add
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
1.35. Chapter 4 is scary, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Very.
Okay, now we're gonna drop that down. Okay, now we're gonna find our residuals, which is actual minus predicted, right? So we're off 6 there, off 8, 4, off 6, right? And then we're gonna square it, residuals squared. Take whatever that number was, I'm gonna raise it to the second power. I'm gonna copy that down. And then I'm gonna get the sum of my residuals squared. Okay? Sum of all that works out to be 4553.9. Okay, so I've just found the numerator for my S of E. Okay, now I need to divide that by n minus 2, right? What is n in this case?
Looks like 14.
Let's see, how many pairs you got? So we've got 14, so your n minus 2 works out to be 12. Okay? So my S of E in this case equals the square root of my residual squared, which I just found, divided by n minus 2. Okay? All right, so I found my S of E. Now I need to take my S of E, I need to plug it into here, and I need to figure out what this is. What is this? So in order to define this, I gotta figure out what my x bar is, right? What is my x bar? Average of all the ages. Okay, so average age in this case works out to be 42.07. Okay, so I need to get the sum of this subtraction. So this is going to be xi minus x bar squared. Okay, so this equals xi minus x bar. I'm going to F for that one. And I'm going to raise it to the second power. Okay? I'm going to copy that down. And then I'm going to get the sum. So the sum of all those works out to be 2472.93. Okay, so now I've got the denominator here. Yes?
What's x about? Sorry.
Exabyte is your data. So I'm taking this 25-year-old male, I'm subtracting off the average age, which is 42, and then so that's 17, I'm squaring it, and I'm getting 291. Okay? All right. So, now I need to figure my S sub B1. S sub B1 equals your S sub E, which we found right here, divided by the square root of my S sub E. So S, whatever that is. Xi minus x bar squared. Okay? So I've just found my S sub B1, which is the denominator of this. Okay? Now we can work on the numerator. What's your beta 1? Which slope?
On the line? 1.399.
No, it's not that one. That's what B1 is, but what's beta 1? It's 0 because
That's your null hypothesis.
your null hypothesis says it's 0. Okay, so we really don't even need that. Once again, I could get away with just this. Okay, I don't need that because it's 0. Okay, but it's in your formula, so don't mix it up. Okay, so my t-score works out to be, t-score works out to be my beta 1, which my B1, which is 2.3991, divided by my S sub B1, which is right here, and that works out to be 3.57. Okay, so I finally finished off step number 3. 3.57. Okay, so now what's the next step?
What's your critical value?
I don't like critical values. I'm trying not to teach you those, unless I have to. You need to find your p-value, right? Technically, you could find your critical value if you like that better, but I like p-values, okay? So p-value, so what's the command for my p-value? P-value? No, what is it?
How'd you get the
Norm-S
P
test.
dot dist, right? Which one? Which one is it? The
Two-tailed.
two-tailed test, right? Because our alternative is two-tailed. We're not supposed to look at our data before. This one's always going to be a two-tailed test, right? What's my x in this case? 3.57. My degrees of freedom. I don't think I told you my degrees of freedom. Let's see if you can guess. It's that right there. Your degrees of freedom equals n minus 2. Okay, so this one's n minus 2, not n minus 1. So that works out to be 12. Okay, which gives me, in this case, my p-value is 0.0038. Step number 5 is
Compare with
did I give you an alpha?
No.
Didn't give it, so 0.05, and step 6 says
Reject the hoe.
reject. Okay, and step 7 is your conclusion, which is
Statistical significant.
slope is what?
Statistical significant.
Statistically significant or from 0. I'll write it that way. Okay? So, yes, we can say that this is a legitimate regression line. Slope is significantly different from 0. Okay? Yes, Cassidy.
What did you use as the small b1 and then the big b1 again for?
Small b1 is right here. Your big B1 is your null hypothesis, which is going to be 0 all the time. It's always going to be 0.
So the regression line is what?
The regression line is significant. Okay? It's actually posted. One of the things that I did do, instead of doing it on one page, I did a separate page for residuals. I did the hypothesis test right there. I think it's exactly. So I've already posted it. Just didn't post it all on the page. Okay? All right, quiz tomorrow. I did not do hypothesis test, so you can skip that. We'll save that for tomorrow. We're going to do hypothesis test, or excuse me, confidence intervals. I didn't do confidence intervals. We'll do confidence intervals. We'll do prediction intervals tomorrow. So, and then we're going to review for the rest of the class. Okay? See y'all tomorrow.